Due to the confusion of some of my viewers, I feel the need to point out right at the start that these videos contain my own personal thoughts and opinions, and are rarely a declaration of fact, especially when it comes to complicated subjects such as morality. Some commenters seem to think that I was pushing a vegan and vegetarian agenda in my last video, and that I was condemning anyone who eats meat. This is not so. My intention was to draw attention to the difference between absolute morality, where certain actions such as killing a mammal are always wrong, and the species-specific morality, where most humans don't have a problem with killing cows, pigs, sheep or goats in order to eat them. For the record, I'm not a vegetarian myself, although I aspire to be. Let me unpack that a bit. Whenever I have a choice about what to eat at a restaurant or buy in a food shop, I go for a vegetarian option. But if I'm invited to someone's house for dinner, or I'm cooking for omnivorous visitors, then I'll eat or cook meat without any major upset. I think meat adds variety to meals, but is not essential in order for a meal to taste great. Sometimes I buy veggie burgers or sausages, which contain things like soya, but I'm more likely to have vegetable soup and bread, especially if I'm only catering for myself. In other words, I'm a lazy cook. So my overall meat intake is quite low. My reasons for this have nothing to do with diet or allergies, and everything to do with my personal feelings of empathy towards other animals. I wouldn't kill any of my pets for food, regardless of whether it's a cat, dog, sheep, chicken or rabbit. I feel the same way about all of them. Some of my friends think I'm odd that way, particularly the ones who enjoy shooting and fishing. For as long as I can remember, I've never felt the urge to catch a fish or shoot an animal. Of course, I know that other people feel differently, and I'm not trying to claim that I've got it correctly figured out, and they don't. Far from it. Most of my friends and family eat meat, and I don't interfere. But since this is my own personal platform, I'll share with you some of the reasons why I think vegetarianism is better than being a carnivore. Firstly, we have evolved as omnivores. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors ate whatever they could get hold of, be that rabbits, fish, fruit, nuts, seeds or berries. We're more like dogs and pigs in that regard, rather than cows or cats. No doubt that thought will delight my Muslim and Jewish friends. Secondly, we are living in a terribly unjust world, where more than 1 billion out of 7 billion people are living in such poverty that many of them are malnourished and don't even have access to clean drinking water. This is a complex problem, largely due to international politics, a subject I'm fairly ignorant about. However, given the fact that we can mobilize huge armies and fly to the other side of the world within a single day, I see no logistical reason why the food we do have couldn't be distributed more fairly, especially given the fact that some 50% of what is produced in Western countries ends up in the bin anyway. And that doesn't even address the longer-term solution, whereby small-scale farming, food forests and permaculture are implemented more widely in the world's poorest countries. My third reason is that producing meat requires far more land, fertilizer and water than a pound-for-pound quantity of grain or vegetables. I would argue that the slashing and burning of old-growth tropical rainforests to make way for intensive but short-lived cattle farms is a terrible waste of ecosystems. Our health and well-being is at least partially dependent upon a clean atmosphere, healthy forests, watersheds and oceans. So if people were to reduce the amount of intensively farmed meat they eat, we would be able to feed more people with the same amount of farmland. When it comes to overfishing in the oceans, we are harvesting nature's capital rather than living off the interest. It's the same with a lot of forestry. We log old-growth forests which will take several human generations to naturally replenish, but they can only do that if the cleared land is left alone, which it seldom is. Once grazing animals are introduced, like in Scotland over many centuries, The old-growth natural forest is reduced to a few small pockets here and there. And it's a similar situation with fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas. They have taken millions of years to get to the state that they're in now, where we can burn them, and we've been burning them for less than 2 centuries. I don't feel so strongly about veganism. That's not to say that I'm 100% happy about eating eggs and dairy products, but I cannot imagine a strict vegan diet as being particularly interesting or nutritious. At least not in this part of the world. But then again, it probably has more to do with my lack of expertise in the kitchen. So, to summarise, I'm not advocating strict vegetarianism or veganism, but moderation as a healthy alternative to gluttony. My personal sense of morality also happens to encompass the well-being of animals. I think that the long-term survival of humanity and the ecological well-being of our planet are worth striving towards. As ever, feel free to disagree with me and to help my understanding if I've got some or all of this wrong.